I just sat through 9 episodes of the new TV series on Netflix entitled Selena, about the life of Selena Quintanilla, whom we all know passed away 25 years ago in 1995. And I'm on Twitter, and you got a bunch of people on there that just are so nitpicky about the show. Everything from the lighting, the clothing choices, the music, the performances. There were some bright spots, some people pointed out, but I don't even think that I read one positive for Kristen Serratos, who we all know as Rosita from The Walking Dead. I personally give her nothing but glowing remarks. She deserves a Golden Globe and an Emmy nomination for her performance. Someone who is 30 years old, maybe she was 29 when they filmed this, and can pull off being 15, 17. That's one thing you got to give her. Like, oh wow, how did she do that? You know, maybe it's because she looks young. I mean, she is young, but she can pull off being, But it's like, we saw Ralph Macho, 24 years old, I believe, and he played a 17-year-old in Karate Kid. So, you know, but this series, was anchored by Christian Serratos' performance. People are talking about how she doesn't look like her. She's not built like her, like Selena. I'm going, since when does a person really have to look like the character they're playing? It's a plus. It's a very, very big, you know, get, oh wow, this person actually looks like the person. But it's like, I look at Christian Serratos' performance, and it's like she embodied Selena. She really, really did bring Selena to life. I look at her and I'm like going, sure, she doesn't look like her, but then I got into her performance and I just forgot that she was playing Selena. I saw her as Selena. And, for people to nitpick, not only that, but then they're nitpicking the way she's built. Like, she's too skinny to be Selena. I'm like, you know, Kristen Serratos can't help that unless she was going to put on some weight for the role, but I don't think that her frame is the same as Selena, so she probably can't gain weight without looking too obvious that she gained weight. You know what I mean? To be a little bit more, I don't know. What's she gonna do? Is she gonna work out so that she could be a little bit more bulkier? You know? I think they both had two different body types. Her and Christian Serratos and Selena. So, I just looked at her performance, and might I say, like I said, it's award worthy. Now, the overall theme of Selena TV series is that it tells the story of Tejano singer Selena and her rise to fame and the sacrifices she and her family must make along the way. And boy, do they make a lot of sacrifices, a lot of tough choices. We see their struggle to just in the beginning and how they really wanted to get to the next level every time. You see him pushing Abraham pushing AB to master the guitar, the bass, whatever, and you see him teaching him in the beginning, and then you see him progress to really being on him about making that next hit song. You see AB struggle. He's up all night. He ends up meeting a young lady. They have a baby, and you see him just struggling to get sleep. He feels like he's always being you know on the bubble. He's always being pressured to write that next hit. You know, you see him struggle. You see Selena, who she just wants to be a singer. She just wants to do what she loves to do. And all along, from the moment that she's a child to when she's a teenager and a young adult, you see everything that's being thrown her way. You know, her dad trying to secure a deal with CBS. He wants to get an English language album, and also rights, to their copyrights or whatever you want to call it, publishing. And you see him doing that, and then another EMI offer gets thrown his way, and he's, thinking he wants to go that way because they have a Latin, music department, a music division. And they'd be sure to get her a deal, and then hopefully they can work out getting a English language album. You see how they're manipulated by the music company. Jose Behar, who was the guy who was appointed as the head of that department in EMI, he wants to, do right by them, but then of course he has to also go along with the industry and what they expect. And you see everything like that. You see also the fact that she's sacrificing her being truthful to her family when she falls in love with Chris Perez, who's the guy who replaced a guy named Roger as a basis. You see the dynamic between those two, and you see the sacrifices that they gotta make, in order to sneak away from the family to even get a moment or two with each other. You see Suzette and AB having to also keep it from the parents, especially the dad, because if he found out he was going to fire Chris, then you have that. See Chris's struggle with having to deal with, you know, Selena not really giving him any time, and at times he gets jealous, and at times he's wondering if she loves him, but at the same time, it's like she has to keep it on the low because we can't tell anybody of what they're doing, right? You see what happens with Selena when she is being pulled in so many different ways and needing to change her look and not being herself. I mean, Laura Canales, who was like the reigning Tejano music queen at that time, 3 years in a row she won Latin, a Tejano Music Award, and she gave her advice in the bathroom when they were there and they bumped into each other. And she says, don't let anybody change you. You be yourself. And you could tell she was a fan of Selena. And even when Selena won that night, when she was nominated as the female performer of the year kind of award, and you could kind of see in Sonora Canales' eyes that she's going, well, my time was here and it's gone, and here's the new queen, kind of thing. I mean, you see their hard work pay off, winning awards and television appearances. You see her struggling with her Spanish in the beginning, and she's vowing that the next time they go on that show, the host that they call it what was the name that guy. Now let's take a look at the thing here. The Johnny Canales show, and she's talking about she was like being interviewed, and then she would mix in English, and then she starts listening to burlesque tapes, and then she figures, what, I'm gonna watch a telenovela, and she's learning how to speak. It reminds me of like when I was a kid, and I would always watch. Because I'm Filipino, and I would watch Tagalog movies with my mom, and I would begin to understand what they were saying. And every time I would not understand a word, I'd ask my mom. She'd tell me. Next time I'd watch a movie, I'd remember. And then eventually later on, I learned how to speak it as well. But it totally connected with me because I remember learning how to understand my family's language from watching movies. And I think I'm saying that I know it's Laura. I don't know if it's not Canales. I'm thinking Canales, but I forgot the last name of the musician. That I mean, the musician, but the singer. But you know, you see all that, and it's like you really feel for every character in there. Even the minor players. Like the guy Pete. You know, a studio, who he gets offered a contract, solo to be a solo singer. He approaches Abraham. Abraham's cool with it because their success, according to him, their success is his success. Now AB is kind of upset when he finds out, you know, but I think he totally deserved there because he's a really great singer. He did a lot for the band. Maybe that's why AB didn't want him to go because it's like, you're also our success too. But yeah, I mean, to me, it just hit me before I decided to do the video. Then I was thinking, like, yeah, that's just the sacrifices and the choices that they had to make. It totally would either make them successful or not successful. And this TV series really touched on a lot. I mean, I didn't know about a lot of the things that happened because I'm a fan of the film that starred J-Lo, but you didn't really get everything that you feel like you wanted to get from the film. There's a lot more stuff that needed to be known about. I don't know how farther they're going to delve into, especially in part two. This is part one. Part two, I don't even know if they're going to even look into the whole thing of the trial of Yolanda Saldivar. And when that scene, I was thinking to myself, once that scene happens where she's introduced to the family, or do you think about giving her a call to be a fan club manager? I was like, that it's almost like the moment that he got the card, or not the card, but the name and the number, and he gave it to Suzette, his daughter. Abraham did. I was just thinking at that moment that here's the hourglass. And at that moment, they flipped it over, and all the sand started coming, started falling, and that just signified the time left for Selena before she would be her end. And it's really a sad moment. I remember when that happened, and I remember when because I heard her music. I heard a couple of her songs, because she was getting popular. Even a person that wasn't a fan of Tejano music and all that at that point. I heard a lot of it, especially because my mom, she liked listening to all kinds of music. She listened to Tejano music as well. And so I remember just somehow I was hearing it on the radio. I think I was flipping stations and stuff like that, and I heard, and then I remembered, I remember like hearing the news that she passed, and then they played some of her songs, and I go, I remember that. And then at that moment, I started getting into Selena, and I started listening to her music and became a fan. And I just totally remember that. And to think that this young lady, 23 years old, her life ended over some nonsense. I mean, the situation was that she ended up because I guess Yolanda was jealous of her, or she, and then also she was caught doing some rather shady things. I mean, that was how it was in the movie. Don't know how it was in real life, because from what I hear, I don't think that Quintanillas really liked the film in the sense that it didn't tell their story, because this is their story. They're behind it. Suzette, the sister of Selena, is actually the producer and executive producer of this thing. So, and also Abraham. So, they're more of their story is told here. And I loved everything that I saw in this thing. It really, to me, it really just showed a lot of the side of Selena that a lot of us don't know. A lot of the struggles, like I said, that she had to go through, and how their family were living. It's like the thing of living paycheck to paycheck. It's like they didn't know where their next gig was going to be, and they would have to go on food stamps, and they would have to. And Abraham being so proud, and now he's a guy, a man of pride, and he didn't want to do that. And then his wife had to tell him, you have to think about the kids, feeding your children. He relented. He goes, okay, and they end up, But then there's that one scene where he's all, yeah, like he had the thing, and then they had the food and everything, and they had the food stamps, and he goes, yeah, and then he ends up handing it over to his son, and he goes out of the store, and then the son and the sister Suzette were like, really? Like, so it goes to show that he was still a little embarrassed. He didn't want to, he didn't want to, you know, be seen, using food stamps and stuff like that. But and it totally is like an American story. It's like our story. Like we can kind of see our what we go through in life through their eyes as well. But you see them succeeding, and you see them, climbing the ranks, if you will, rung by rung on a ladder. Getting to the top. And the way it ended, of course, we all know what happened with Chris Paris, who was a young up and coming guitarist. I read that he was really he was like somebody who everybody in the Tiana music world wanted to work with. He was a rising and a very, very accomplished guitarist and bassist. And we see their love story blossom, and we see what happens when they have to kind of make it to where they can't let the family know. And at the end, a little slip up, they were like, with a rolling door, it slides open, and Abraham is able to catch them in the rearview mirror, kind of getting a little bit too close. Stops the van, throws Chris off the tour bus. He slaps money into his hand, says, "Tell somebody that cares." And then that's it. And that's how it ends. We see Selena looking at Chris outside the window. We see her view, and he just fades off as they're going off. And that's how it ends. So I don't know what it is, how deep they're going to get into it next season. And if they're going to even show the day of her passing. But like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I totally and highly recommend it. People just look past the fact that Kristen Serratos may not be your choice. She doesn't look like Selena. Not the same body, not the right body type. The clothing choices, all this stuff. Just watch it. Focus on her performance and forget that she doesn't look like her. Focus on the actress. Focus on what she's doing and the fact that she, to me, like I said in the beginning, she totally embodied in Selena in spirit, in her attitude, and in her just joy of life, and her total just loving what she was doing. And there's a scene in the movie where she talks about, do you guys ever think about what you were put on this earth for? And she flat out said, this is what I was put on earth for. And she was. In the little time that she had on this earth, 23 years, she was able to fit everything that she ever wanted into it. She saw her career skyrocket. She had her clothing line, all of that. And unfortunately, she was taken away from us far too soon. I don't know if I'm looking forward to seeing that played out in this part 2, but we got to sit through that, and we know it's coming, but it still hurts when it comes to the fact that this young lady really was on course to just take over the world, and we'll never know, or we'll never really ever got to see that. But then again, her legacy, her impact is still felt today. So until part 2, and until I get to see that, and I will sit through the whole thing too. That's my thoughts and review of Selena TV series on Netflix. So those of you see this video and haven't seen it yet, go check it out. But like I said, reserve judgment and just get lost into the series and just watch it. Well, that's my video. And for those of you who stopped by and checked it out, I appreciate it. And in closing, as always, take care.